On recent Thursday nights, we have been doing a series of interviews with presidential candidates about what made them what they are. What were the formative influences in their lives? We call the series Who Is? And we came to New Hampshire today to talk to Hillary Clinton, who grew up in the Chicago suburbs in the 1950s. And what was Hillary Rodham like as a kid?
Well, I was a pretty ordinary kid. I was growing up in a middle-class suburb of Chicago. It was an all-white suburb. I lived 3 blocks from my elementary school, so I walked home for lunch every day. I lived 6 blocks from our church.
This is Ozzie and Harriet.
It was Father Knows Best and Ozzie and Harriet and Leave It to Beaver all rolled into one.
Did Father know best?
In our house, he did. Yes, indeed. And never let you forget about it. You know, my father was a very strong-willed man.
He was a tough cookie.
He was a tough bag of cookies.
When you were a teenager, was there a piece of clothing? Was it makeup? What was the fascination for Hillary Rodham?
Well, I was the president of the Fabian fan club. There were 3 of us in it. I spent a lot of time with my girlfriends at slumber parties where they gave up on trying to teach me how to fix my hair. So, I mean, there were things that they were fascinated in that I was just never very good at. And the one good thing about both my sort of rough around the edges father and my resilient mother is there were no gender differences. If we were going to play football, we all played football. You know, I was expected to compete. If I was going to go out and play with the boys, then don't cut them any slack and don't expect them to cut you any slack. And that was just inherent. It was a great but unusual message for a girl of that time to actually incorporate.
True that you wrote NASA at 14? Wanted to be an astronaut?
I did. I wrote to NASA and I said, you know, what do you have to do to become an astronaut? That was my question, because I wanted to prepare myself and
they said, be a man.
Yeah, they said, be a man. They said, we're not accepting girls. And I was crushed. I couldn't believe it. I mean, so I was what, 8th grade? I had never had anybody tell me I couldn't do something because I was a girl.
The Rodham household was politically conservative.
My best friend and I became, quote, Goldwater girls. We got to wear a cowboy hat. We had a sash which said, you know, what an AUH2O. I mean, it was really a lot of fun.
Hillary Rodham went on to Wellesley College, where the Midwestern conservative girl had trouble fitting in with the Eastern liberal college elite.
I felt totally out of place. I wanted to come home. I called home collect. I will never forget, I was in my dorm room sobbing. I said, I can't do this. I will never, ever be able to do this. I want to come home. And my mother said, don't you dare. I had to really sort of dig deep inside myself and sort of say, who am I?
She went through a political transformation at Wellesley and went on to become the first student in Wellesley College history to deliver the commencement address, and then went to Yale Law School in the spring of 1971, where she fell in love with a fellow student, Bill Clinton, but she was reluctant to marry him.
He was a force of nature. He was the center of most of the attention. I'd never known anybody like him. I just had no frame of reference, but I knew I was getting into something really big, whatever it was, you know, and therefore I was hesitant. I never understood how difficult it would be to navigate his political career on my terms.
With some trepidation, though, she moved to Arkansas and got married. It is just a few more than 80 years since women have had the vote. Do you ever sit back? Does it ever really sort of come over you? You are the first really serious with a real chance of being President of the United States. Does that ever make you say, oh my God?
Every day. You know, I run the whole gamut of emotions. You know, some days, let's just be honest, it's scary. The idea of waging this campaign, getting out there, engendering all of the feelings, pro and con. I'm not asking for any special privilege or break. I'm out there competing with, you know, the men the way I used to compete with the boys in my neighborhood. But it is challenging.
Who is Hillary Clinton?